5 a.m., dead asleep in my tent. Boom. 3 flashlights blast my face like interrogation lamps. Cease trespass immediately. My heart's hammering as boots crunch across my graveled driveway. Radio static cuts through the morning air like broken glass, drowning out what should be peaceful bird songs. 3 cops tower over me like I'm some meth-head vagrant. Pack it up now. I'm squinting through the blinding lights, diesel fumes from their patrol cars burning my nose. Officers, this is my property. I own this land. But standing behind them, Delilah Thornwick, HOA Queen Bee, clutching her precious clipboard with that poison-sweet smile. She actually called the cops on me for camping on my own damn ranch. The woman has no clue that in my tackle box sits a stack of documents that'll flip this whole script and make her lawyer up faster than you can say fraud charges. What would you do if someone weaponized police against you on your own property? Drop a comment. Where you watching from? I know you've got HOA nightmare stories. Trust me, she picked the wrong guy to mess with. My name's Jasper Calloway, 52 years old, and 3 years ago I thought I'd bought my way out of other people's drama. After watching cancer steal my wife Margaret one painful day at a time, I sold my electrical contracting business and paid $340,000, 0 cents, cash, for this 40-acre slice of Colorado paradise. Margaret used to close her eyes during chemo and describe her dream reunion spot. Pine trees reflecting in crystal water, kids cannonballing while adults shared stories around crackling campfires, the smell of wood smoke mixing with mountain air, exactly like our weekend escapes that kept us sane through 18 months of hospitals and hope. This property delivers everything she imagined, a gorgeous 12-acre natural lake fed by a mountain stream that's been singing the same song for centuries. When I handed that cashier's check to 82-year-old Bill Hutchins, the previous owner who'd ranched here for 60 years, his weathered hands shook. "Take care of her," he whispered. "She's been good to my family." The deed was bulletproof. I owned every square inch of lake plus a 50-foot buffer zone, agricultural zoning, residential use permitted, no easements, no shared access, no fine print, just me, my grief, and 40 acres of peace. Then came the knock. 2 months in, I'm sipping morning coffee when sharp heel clicks echo across my wooden porch like a woodpecker with anger management issues. Here comes Delilah Thornwick, 48, HOA president of Pine Ridge Estates, the fancy development squatting on adjacent land like a suburban cancer. Picture every PTA mom who peaked in high school but discovered clipboards, always immaculately dressed, always clutching that leather-bound clipboard like Moses carrying stone tablets, rolling up in her white Lexus SUV with the HOA parking permit displayed like she's diplomatic immunity. "Mr. Calloway," she purrs with that artificial sweetness that makes your dental fillings ache. "I understand you're new here, but we have procedures. The lake has always been available for our residents' recreation." She slides this official-looking notice of violation across my weathered porch rail. According to Princess Delilah, my private lake is somehow community property, because Bill supposedly allowed neighborhood access for decades, creating an established easement. The morning air carries the scent of pine needles, warming in early sunlight, but all I can smell is fresh bullshit. "Ma'am," I say, steam rising from my coffee like my patience evaporating, "I've got the deed. This is private property." Her smile turned sharp as broken glass. "We'll see about that. I know people." Those heels click away like gunshots. Next day, I'm camped out at the county recorder's office with Betty, a sweet clerk who's seen every property scam in the book. We pull 40 years of records, deeds, surveys, easement filings, the whole paper trail. "Honey," Betty says, her reading glasses catching fluorescent light, "if there was an easement, it'd be recorded right here. This woman's selling you swampland in Florida." The contrast hit me. Bill's original deed on rough, honest paper versus Delilah's violation notice on expensive letterhead that screamed, "I have a laminator and I'm not afraid to use it." I called Tom Hutchins, Bill's son, who confirmed my suspicions over the static of his truck radio. Dad never gave anyone permission for that lake. Twice in 60 years he let search and rescue teams train there. That's it. This HOA lady's got more fantasy going than a Comic-Con convention. A week later, another letter arrives from Pin Ridge Legal Services, probably Delilah's cousin with a law degree from Google University. 30 days to restore community access or face legal consequences, including substantial attorney fees and property liens. I'm reading this garbage while afternoon heat makes pine sap pop like tiny firecrackers, and it hits me. This isn't about water rights. This is about a woman so drunk on tiny kingdom power that she thinks she can annex my property through sheer audacity. Margaret always said bullies only understand one language: consequences. Time for Delilah to get an education. Week 3 of the Delilah Wars, and she's escalating faster than a meth head spotting copper wire. This cease and desist letter arrives on letterhead so fancy, it probably cost more than my monthly beer budget. Pinneridge Legal Services, which sounds about as real as unicorn insurance, demands I stop interfering with established recreational easement and denying community access. 30 days to comply or face substantial attorney fees and property lien possibilities. The paper feels slick and threatening between my calloused fingers, like Delilah raided a lawyer's garbage can for intimidating words. Time for some real detective work. I drive to the county courthouse, a limestone building that reeks of burnt coffee and broken dreams. The records room is fluorescent lit hell where hopes go to die. But I plant myself there for 8 hours, pulling every document connected to my property since Carter was president. Betty, the records clerk, becomes my guardian angel, her arthritic fingers dancing through file cabinets that haven't been disturbed since disco was cool. The musty smell of old paper fills my nostrils as we dig through decades of deeds, surveys, and easement filings. "Honey," Betty says, adjusting her bifocals, "I've been cataloging property records for 23 years. If there was an easement on your land, it'd be right here in black and white." Results: 0 easements, 0 access agreements, 0 community anything. But I'm not taking anyone's word for it. I call Tom Hutchins from the courthouse parking lot, my truck's metal seat burning through my jeans in the afternoon heat. "Tom, straight up, did your dad ever let neighbors swim in that lake?" "Christ, no," he barks over static. "Dad was friendly but not stupid. One kid drowns, and you're looking at a lawsuit that'd cost you the ranch. Only outsiders who ever touched that water were sheriff's deputies doing rescue training. Twice in 60 years, both with official permits." Armed with facts, I decide to field test Delilah's bullshit community tradition. Friday evening, I load camping gear and head to my own property for the first time since buying it. Golden hour light turns the lake into liquid mirror while evening breeze carries scents of wild sage and pine resin. I'm hammering tent stakes into soft earth, listening to water lap against limestone rocks, when peace gets murdered by the sound of slamming car doors. 3 families invade my sanctuary with kayaks, coolers, and entitled attitudes. Kids are already stripping to swimsuits before parents finish parking. "Folks," I call out, staying diplomatic, "this is private property." Soccer mom Alpha gives me the look she reserves for store managers and soccer refs. Delilah said it was fine. "We've been coming here for years." "Years?" I probe. "How many years exactly?" Awkward silence, guilty glances, classic tells of people caught lying. "Well, since last summer," mumbles husband number 2. "Maybe the summer before." So Delilah's decades of established tradition equals 2 seasons of organized trespassing. Beautiful. I stay polite but firm, explaining property lines and asking them to leave. They pack up with theatrical sighs and passive-aggressive comments about unfriendly newcomers and whatever happened to community spirit. Within 2 hours, Delilah launches her social media nuclear option. The Pinneridge Estates Facebook group explodes with her sob story, photos of heartbroken children banned from their swimming hole by the hostile new owner. 47 crying emojis and comments like "What monster denies kids access to nature?" pile up faster than I can screenshot them. But while she's playing victim online, I'm playing chess. Every comment, every lie, every manipulation gets documented and time-stamped. Because here's what Delilah doesn't know: electricians are obsessive about documentation. We have to be. One missed wire kills people. The real game changer comes Monday morning. Tom Hutchins calls with dynamite. "Jasper, I found Dad's property journals going back 30 years. Guess who tried this exact same scam in 2019? Let me guess. Your clipboard princess. Dad wrote about stopping the HOA woman from bringing trespassers. When he threatened to call the sheriff, she disappeared faster than free beer at a barbecue. Now I know, this isn't about lakes or kids or community spirit. This is about a serial boundary pusher who's been testing property owners for years, seeing who'll fold under pressure. She figured the grieving widower would be easy prey. She figured wrong. Delilah's done playing nice. Week 4 brings bureaucratic warfare that would make Stalin jealous. She files a formal complaint with county planning, claiming I'm operating an illegal commercial campground. Her evidence? Photos of my single tent presented like I'm hosting Coachella for profit. The government speak is thicker than truck stop gravy, unpermitted transient accommodation facility, and unlawful commercial recreational enterprise. The inspection notice hits my mailbox Tuesday with that distinctive smell of fresh bureaucracy and impending headaches. County officials scheduled for Friday to investigate reported violations of zoning ordinances. When Inspector Rodriguez arrives, a weathered guy who looks like he's busted every scam since the Carter administration, he takes one look at my modest setup and starts laughing. "Mr. Calloway, you charging admission here?" "Just me, my tent, and enough coffee to wake the dead," I say, gesturing to my camping chair and Coleman stove. He walks the property with professional thoroughness, tablet in hand, boots crunching through pine needles that smell like Christmas morning. Dewdrops on spiderwebs catch sunlight like nature's jewelry display, while Rodriguez confirms what I already know. Everything's kosher. Agricultural zoning allows owner camping. You could build a mansion if you wanted. Then comes the kicker. This is complaint number 3 from your HOA friend this year. My attention snaps to focus like a laser sight. 3 complaints? Noise violations, water contamination, now this camping bullshit. All properties she doesn't even live near. Rodriguez shakes his head with the weary disgust of a man who's seen too many petty tyrants. Ladies costing taxpayers money with frivolous reports. That weekend, I turned my property into Fort Knox with trail cameras. Motion-activated, infrared-capable, weatherproof surveillance that would make the NSA proud. If Princess Delilah wants to play spy games, let's see who's actually breaking laws. Sunday night, motion alerts blow up my phone. I'm expecting deer or maybe a curious bear. Instead, I'm watching live-action footage of Delilah hosting a midnight rave at my lake. 6 adults, 4 kids, floating on inflatable flamingos like it's their personal country club. Infrared cameras capture everything in crystal clarity. License plates, faces, even the brand of beer they're guzzling during their criminal pool party. Audio picks up Delilah's voice, clear as Sunday morning confession. "He can't stop us if we come after dark." Game on, sweetheart. Over the next week, cameras document a pattern of systematic trespassing. Tuesday, midnight swimming with wine glasses because apparently criminal behavior requires proper stemware in suburbia. Thursday, Delilah brings bolt cutters to my gate, metallic snipping echoing across water like gunshots, as she creates permanent access for her crime syndicate. But here's my counterpunch. Instead of confronting them directly, I compile a surveillance highlight reel that would make Hollywood jealous. Every trespass, every act of vandalism, every tool-assisted break-in, all time-stamped, GPS-coordinated, and lawyer-ready. Friday morning, Delilah pivots again with the desperation of a politician caught in scandal. Facebook explodes with her new identity as environmental crusader, claiming my reckless camping is destroying fragile ecosystems and poisoning wildlife habitat. The woman has more personas than a witness protection program. Rodriguez calls while I'm sipping coffee that tastes like victory in mountain air. "Calloway, brace yourself. Environmental complaint just hit my desk. Same source, naturally. Let me guess. I'm single-handedly destroying the ecosystem?" Claims you're dumping sewage and chemicals directly into the water supply. His voice carries the exhaustion of dealing with professional complainers. Makes it 6 bogus reports she's filed this year against different property owners. As the pattern crystallizes, Delilah Thornwick runs a one-woman harassment campaign, weaponizing government bureaucracy against anyone who won't kiss her suburban ring. But now the system's working for me. Rodriguez offers his direct line and expedited permit processing. Better yet, he mentions that filing false reports carries criminal penalties. "Keep recording everything," he advises. "This woman's building her own case against herself." That night, cameras catch Delilah's crew having another champagne and trespassing celebration. The audio captures her bragging about teaching that asshole a lesson, while literally breaking into my property. She's about to learn that some lessons have permanent consequences. Week 5. Delilah goes full psycho and calls the cops on me for camping on my own damn property. I'm dead asleep, dreaming about Margaret's laugh, when boom! 3 flashlights explode in my face like alien abduction lights at 5 a.m. sharp. My heart jackhammers against my ribs as heavy boots crunch across my graveled driveway, aggressive radio static slicing through peaceful morning bird songs like chainsaws through silk. Trespassing complaint, pack it up right now. I'm squinting through nuclear bright LED torture. Diesel exhaust from patrol cars burning my throat raw, trying to process why 3 cops are treating me like El Chapo at a drug bust. The lead officer's hand hovers near his weapon, ready to neutralize the dangerous criminal drinking coffee in his own backyard. "Officers," I croak, fumbling for my deed in the waterproof tackle box, "this is my property. I own every square inch of this land." That's when Delilah emerges from behind the squad cars like a suburban succubus, designer clipboard pressed against her chest like holy armor, wearing that synthetic smile that could melt paint off barn siding. I had absolutely no idea who was camping here. She lies with Oscar-worthy conviction, her voice dripping fake concern. Could be anyone. Drug dealers, sex offenders, who knows? The temperature shift is instant. Officers examine my documentation and their aggressive postures melt into professional embarrassment. You can practically hear their mental gears grinding as they realize they've been played like fiddles at a hoedown. "Ma'am," the lead officer addresses Delilah with ice-cold irritation. "Filing false police reports is a Class 1 misdemeanor, criminal charges." Her face goes whiter than fresh cocaine. "But I didn't know." "You didn't know because you didn't bother checking property records before wasting police resources on your personal vendetta." He cuts her off like a hot knife through butter. Instead of exploding like Delilah expects, I do something that makes her visible panic. I stay calm. Request the incident report number. Thank the officers for their professionalism. Ask if they need anything else from me. This breaks her brain. She's expecting rage, threats, ammunition for her victim narrative. Instead, I'm treating this like a business transaction, while she's the one looking unhinged. "Have a blessed day, officers," I say, already mentally drafting legal documents. That afternoon, I send certified letters to every HOA board member demanding immediate cessation of all unauthorized property access. The legal language hits harder than a sledgehammer. Criminal trespass statutes, harassment penalties, specific dollar amounts for continued violations, 48 hours to comply or face civil and criminal consequences. But Delilah's desperation reaches methamphetamine levels. She files environmental complaints claiming I'm destroying pristine wetlands and contaminating municipal water supplies. The woman cycles through victim identities faster than a con artist working Times Square. Wednesday brings divine intervention disguised as a phone call. Rodriguez delivers news that makes my entire week. "Calloway, your clipboard princess just stepped in a bear trap, filed her 7th bogus complaint this year, and my supervisor's opening a formal harassment investigation." 7 complaints? Against 6 different property owners. Environmental, zoning, noise, camping, all dismissed as frivolous. County attorneys considering charges for abuse of government resources. The sweet aroma of impending justice mixes with my morning coffee while Rodriguez explains how bureaucrats despise being manipulated. Delilah's been treating county departments like her personal Gestapo, and the system's finally biting back. That night, trail cameras capture Delilah's masterpiece of stupidity. She brings industrial wire cutters to completely destroy sections of my fence, creating permanent public access to her imaginary community lake. Each metallic snip echoes across dark water like applause for her own legal suicide. Audio captures her coaching 3 families through my destroyed fence. "Walk right through like you own it. He can't stop everyone, and by the time he fixes this, we'll have established adverse possession." The legal ignorance is breathtaking. This woman thinks property law works like a game of capture the flag. Friday morning delivers the phone call that detonates everything. My neighbor Jim Morrison, yes, the same name as the dead rock star, just a living mechanic, calls with information that makes my blood turn to liquid nitrogen. "Jasper, I mind my own business, but my wife does bookkeeping for half the county. She spotted something about your HOA queen that'll make you shit bricks." Coffee turns bitter as battery acid in my mouth. "What kind of something?" Tax records show she's been claiming ownership deductions for recreational easement on your property, 5 years running, saving about $4,000 annually by telling the IRS she owns part of your lake. The revelation hits like touching live wire with wet hands. This isn't harassment anymore, it's systematic fraud. Monday morning, I'm sitting across from CPA Margaret in her cramped office that reeks of burnt coffee and financial secrets, staring at tax documents that make my brain want to explode like an overloaded circuit. "Mr. Calloway," she says, sliding papers across her desk with the gravity of someone delivering a cancer diagnosis, "your HOA friend isn't just harassing you, she's been robbing you blind." The numbers swim before my eyes until the pattern crystallizes like ice forming on a windshield. Delilah Thornwick has been claiming recreational easement deductions on my property for 5 straight years, slashing her tax bills by $3,200.00 annually, while I've been paying full freight like a sucker. Total theft, $16,000.00 of my money funneled into her bank account through government-sanctioned fraud. This can't be legal, I manage, though my electrician's instincts already know when something's wired wrong. Margaret's glasses catch fluorescent light as she pulls up county records on her computer screen. Only legal if she actually owns easement rights, which she doesn't. Never has, never will. But that's just the appetizer to this shit sandwich. Margaret's been excavating public records like an accountant archaeologist, unearthing Delilah's master scam across multiple properties, waterfront access on the Henderson Ranch, hiking trail rights through the Morrison Farm, fishing privileges at Silver Creek, all fabricated, all generating illegal tax breaks. Conservative estimate? Margaret's calculator clicks like a countdown timer to federal prison. She's stolen over $73,000.00 from taxpayers across 7 properties. My coffee tastes like liquid rage as the scope hits me. But here's where it gets pornographically corrupt. Delilah's husband Kevin works for the county assessor's office, the exact department that processes easement claims and approves tax deductions. Classic inside job, Margaret explains, her voice carrying the disgust of someone who's seen every scam since Al Capone invented creative accounting. He rubber stamps her fraudulent applications while legitimate taxpayers get rejected. The emails Margaret obtained through public records requests read like a criminal conspiracy manual. Kevin to Delilah. Callaway easement approved. 3,200 reduction active. Delilah to Kevin. Henderson Trail access needs processing by Friday. Back and forth for 5 years, coordinating theft with the casual efficiency of organized crime. They've been running a 2-person mafia from inside county government, stealing from every honest taxpayer while I've been paying their bills like the world's most expensive chump. "Mr. Calloway," Marguerite leans forward with laser focus. "This stopped being about your lake the moment I found these records. This is systematic theft from every citizen in this county who pays legitimate taxes." The power shift hits like lightning through wet ground. For months, Delilah's made me feel like the villain for defending my property. Now I know she's been literally stealing my money while playing victim on Facebook. Margaret hands me a flash drive containing nuclear-grade evidence, forged easements, fraudulent tax claims, criminal conspiracy documentation spanning half a decade. There's enough here for federal racketeering charges, RICO violations. They're looking at 10 to 20 years minimum. My hands don't shake taking that drive. They're steady as surgical instruments, because for the first time since Margaret died, I have purpose beyond grief. I'm not just a widower defending his camping spot anymore. I'm a citizen with evidence of systematic corruption, government allies, and the electrical contractor's obsession with fixing broken systems. Walking to my truck, crisp mountain air filling my lungs like liquid justice, I realize Delilah and Kevin have made a fatal miscalculation. They thought they were stealing from a broken man who'd roll over and play dead. Instead, they've awakened something much more dangerous. An American taxpayer who knows exactly how much he's been robbed and has receipts to prove it. Game over, assholes. Time for the reckoning. Tuesday morning finds me in attorney Sarah Blackwood's office, surrounded by law books that smell like old leather and expensive revenge. Sarah specializes in crushing government corruption, and when I spread my evidence across her mahogany desk, her predatory smile could power a small city. "Mr. Calloway, what you've stumbled onto isn't petty fraud. Under RICO statutes, this is organized crime. She arranges documents like a general planning invasion, conspiracy, racketeering, systematic theft. We're talking federal prison time that'll make Martha Stewart's sentence look like a spa vacation. The legal strategy unfolds like a master electrician's wiring diagram. Civil lawsuit for damages, criminal referral to district attorney, federal tax fraud investigation. Sarah's calculator clicks with the rhythm of a slot machine hitting jackpot. $96,000, 0 cents in documented theft, triple damages for willful fraud, attorney fees, punitive damages. Conservative estimate? $400,000 judgment, she purrs. But first, we're building an army. My kitchen table becomes mission control for the Property Rights Defense Coalition. The inaugural meeting draws 4 victims of Delilah's crime spree, each nursing coffee that tastes like liquid justice while sharing war stories. Tom Henderson, third-generation rancher whose hands look like he's been wrestling barbed wire since birth, slams his mug down hard enough to rattle windows. That bitch claimed historic hiking easement through my cattle pasture. Been fighting her lawyers for 2 years, cost me 15 grand so far. Maria Santos, elementary school teacher with the patience of a saint but murder in her eyes, explains how Delilah fabricated community fishing rights to her creek frontage. Kids can't even play in their own backyard because she brings strangers to exercise their easement rights. Bill Jackson, retired Army sergeant who survived 3 tours in Afghanistan only to get ambushed by suburban warfare, describes Delilah's claim to scenic easement obligations on his Mountain View property. Fought Taliban insurgents with more honor than this woman. Jenny Morrison reveals the crown jewel of Delilah's audacity, claiming equestrian access to her horse pasture for Pinneridge Estates riders. She literally tried to steal my horse's food by claiming community grazing rights. Sarah assembles our legal dream team like she's building a corruption-crushing Voltron. Forensic accountant who's unraveled government fraud from city halls to state capitals. Professional surveyor whose measurements could withstand Supreme Court scrutiny. Digital forensics expert who can resurrect deleted emails like Lazarus with a computer science degree. But while lawyers plan prosecution, I'm still collecting evidence. Trail cameras document Delilah's crew committing fresh crimes nightly. Trespassing, vandalism, conspiracy to commit basically everything short of murder. Thursday night delivers the golden egg. Kevin himself shows up with a crowbar, destroying my fence while providing audio confession. Fuck his property rights, Kevin's voice echoes across dark water, clear as Sunday morning church bells. We'll make this so expensive he'll quit and move back to whatever shithole he came from. Beautiful. Nothing says criminal conspiracy like admitting to systematic harassment while committing felony vandalism on camera. Friday brings our media weapon, investigative reporter Jessica Walsh, whose corruption exposes have toppled 3 county officials and 1 state legislator. When Sarah shows her our evidence, Walsh's investigative instincts trigger like a smoke alarm in a meth lab. Front page material, Walsh declares, already planning her 3-part series. Government officials stealing taxpayer money, systematic property rights violations, HOA corruption. It's got everything except celebrity sex tapes. Give Delilah time, I mutter, earning dark chuckles from the coalition. The media strategy unfolds like clockwork. First, story exposes tax fraud and government corruption. Second piece covers systematic harassment campaign. Third, article examines HOA overreach solutions. Coordinated TV coverage for maximum community impact. Meanwhile, I'm fortifying my property like it's the Alamo with Wi-Fi. Professional security cameras with night vision that could spot a mosquito scratching its ass at midnight. Motion sensors connected to automated alerts that notify my phone and sheriff's department simultaneously. The psychological warfare is exquisite. Every time Delilah drives past, she sees new cameras, new signage, new evidence that her amateur hour intimidation is being recorded by professionals. You can practically watch her confidence evaporate through her SUV windshield like steam off hot asphalt. Sunday coalition meeting delivers final battle plans. Sarah's 47-page prosecution brief reads like Delilah's obituary, written in legal Latin. Forensic accountant found additional fraudulent deductions we'd missed initially. Total documented theft, $127,000, 0 cents. Sarah announces like a lottery winner. With penalties and fees, we're seeking $650,000, 0 cents in damages. But money isn't the end game. This is about sending shockwaves from Colorado to Capitol Hill, abuse public trust, face consequences, harass property owners, get prosecuted. Ordinary citizens have nuclear options against systematic corruption. Time to detonate our legal warhead. Delilah's cornered like a rabid raccoon, and cornered animals do the stupidest shit imaginable. Week 8 delivers her Hail Mary, an emergency restraining order claiming I threatened violence with deadly weapons. Her sworn affidavit reads like a Stephen King novel, written by someone who flunked out of community college creative writing. Detailed fantasies about me stalking her children and brandishing assault rifles, while making terroristic threats about property rights. The legal paperwork hits Friday at 4:47 p.m. sharp, timed perfectly so I can't respond until Monday. Strategic manipulation that screams expensive legal counsel, a dramatic upgrade from her previous crayon and construction paper approach. Here's where desperation reveals stupidity. She requested weekend emergency access to restore community safety at my lake. Some bleeding heart judge bought her performance and granted temporary relief, giving Delilah's army carte blanche to invade my property for 72 hours. Saturday morning, she orchestrates what can only be described as a victory rave. 50-plus families descend like suburban Vikings, pillaging my peaceful lake, complete with bounce houses, DJ equipment, pumping music loud enough to wake Margaret's ghost, and enough beer to pickle the entire county. The acrid smell of charcoal smoke mixes with coconut sunscreen and pure entitlement while Delilah live streams her community restoration celebration like she's broadcasting from liberated territory. Kids trample vegetation I've nursed for 3 years while adults dump enough trash to start a small recycling center. But here's the beautiful irony that makes my electrician heart sing. Every second of their victory party is being captured by my trail cameras in prosecutor porn quality 4K footage. While Princess Clipboard thinks she's won, she's actually documenting systematic trespassing, environmental destruction, and violation of roughly 17 county ordinances. That's short, COVID, January 7th. Sunday evening, Delilah stages her magnum opus of manipulation. Trail cameras capture her positioning herself near my property line with the precision of a method actor, then calling 911 to report me stalking and threatening her family in real time. The audio quality is courtroom perfect as she coaches her teenage daughter. "Look scared, honey. Remember, he followed us and made threats about the lake." "He's clearly unstable," she tells the 911 dispatcher, terror trembling in her voice like she's auditioning for a Lifetime movie. "My daughter's traumatized. He said horrible things about what would happen if we kept using community property." What makes this prosecutorial gold? The timestamp shows I was 30 miles away at Home Depot buying fence materials when this terrifying encounter allegedly occurred. Receipt timestamps, security footage, and my truck's GPS prove I was debating lumber prices while she was fabricating federal crimes. She's graduated from fraud to full-spectrum perjury, filing false police reports while creating evidence that would make a mob lawyer proud. Monday morning, Sarah's office smells like victory and expensive legal strategy as we review Delilah's weekend self-destruction highlight reel. The footage of her staged, threatening encounter is so obviously fabricated that prosecutors will probably use it in training seminars. "She's handed us a federal case," Sarah says, barely containing prosecutorial glee. "False police reports, perjury, witness tampering. She's turned misdemeanor harassment into RICO violations." But Delilah's not finished building her own electric chair. Tuesday unleashes her social media nuclear option, a campaign painting me as dangerous extremist veteran with weapons arsenal threatening community safety. Facebook posts describe my hunting rifles as a military-grade weapons cache because apparently owning a deer rifle qualifies as terrorism in suburban princess world. She's recruiting HOA board members to provide false witness statements about violent threats at community meetings I've never attended. The character assassination expands her criminal conspiracy from 2 people to 20, each sworn statement another felony charge waiting to hatch. Wednesday morning, Jessica Walsh calls with news that tastes sweeter than Margaret's apple pie. "Jasper, Channel 7 wants your story for primetime tomorrow. Lead investigative report, full documentary treatment." Thursday's media blitz begins with Walsh's nuclear headline. Local officials steal $127,000 0 cents through systematic tax fraud. By lunch, 3 TV stations are fighting for exclusive interviews, while Delilah's Facebook support network collapses faster than a house of cards in a tornado. Here's where Delilah commits suicide by press conference. Instead of hiding while her world burns, she stages a public meltdown, claiming media persecution and fake news conspiracy. Standing before Penridge Estates' granite entrance sign like a general surrendering territory, designer clipboard clutched like holy scripture, she delivers performance art that would make Baghdad Bob applaud. Claims of fabricated evidence and coordinated harassment flow from her mouth while news cameras capture every desperate lie in broadcast-quality detail. Mr. Calloway and his radical coalition have weaponized government against innocent families, she declares with audacity that defies natural law. We're simple community volunteers being destroyed by outside agitators with unlimited resources. The projection is breathtaking. She's describing her own crimes while standing in front of cameras that will immortalize her hypocrisy for. Friday evening delivers the knockout punch. Federal agents want interviews with Delilah and Kevin about systematic violations of tax statutes and civil rights laws. The suburban princess just earned herself a conversation with people who don't negotiate. Week 9, Delilah's going full kamikaze because federal investigations make guilty people do spectacularly stupid shit. Monday morning explodes with her most unhinged gambit yet. Emergency court filings claiming our property rights coalition is a domestic terrorist cell plotting armed insurrection against democratic institutions. The legal documents read like someone fed Alex Jones transcripts into a conspiracy theory generator, complete with claims we're funded by radical militia groups and planning violent overthrow of local government. Her new attorney, apparently she finally hired someone whose law degree didn't come from a Cracker Jack box, presents evidence that our peaceful coalition meetings are actually paramilitary training sessions where we plot armed resistance against legitimate authority. The desperation stench rises from every page like roadkill in August heat. But Delilah's megalomania reaches orbital levels Tuesday when she organizes a community defense rally demanding commissioners take immediate action against domestic extremists. The Facebook event promises patriotic families defending democracy, with speakers including concerned security experts and child safety advocates. Wednesday evening, 60 terrified suburbanites pack Penridge Estates' clubhouse that smells like pine sol and pure paranoia. Delilah ascends the podium like she's Churchill addressing Parliament instead of Karen addressing fellow Karens about property line disputes. Radical property rights, terrorists, want to destroy our community values, she declares, voice quivering with Academy Award conviction. They're using legal warfare to tear apart everything we've built together. The projection could power Tesla's entire electrical grid. What Princess Clipboard doesn't realize is that Maria Santos, our coalition teacher, is live streaming the entire fascist pep rally on Facebook while recording backup audio on her phone. Every word of Delilah's criminal conspiracy instruction manual is being preserved in prosecutor-grade digital evidence. Make their lives absolute hell, Delilah instructs her suburban stormtroopers like a general briefing, shock troops. File complaints about everything, noise, zoning, pets, property maintenance, overwhelm them with bureaucratic warfare until they surrender and leave our community. But here's the federal felony gold. She admits to coordinating false government reports with her husband's inside access. Kevin can ensure their permit applications get buried, their inspections get delayed, their property taxes get audited. We have people in every department. That's conspiracy to deprive civil rights under color of law, federal charges carrying 20-year sentences. The crowd eats it up like gospel, nodding and applauding while she outlines systematic harassment campaigns that would make the Gestapo take notes. Someone actually shouts, "Make them pay," like they're storming the Bastille instead of planning to file noise complaints. Thursday brings Delilah's most deranged escalation, recruiting high school kids as her personal surveillance army. She's literally organizing teenage spies with burner phones and coded communication systems, turning Penridge Estates into suburban East Germany. Friday morning, trail cameras capture 17-year-old Brandon Vance, son of HOA board member, attempting to sabotage my security equipment with bolt cutters. When neighbor Jim Morrison confronts him, the kid claims he's protecting community safety from domestic terrorists. Using minors to commit felonies upgrades Delilah's rap sheet from white-collar fraud to organized crime racketeering. But here's where karma delivers its masterpiece. Friday afternoon at the farmer's market, Delilah ambushes County Commissioner Janet Rodriguez in front of 200 witnesses and multiple news cameras. The morning air carries scents of fresh tomatoes and baked goods until Delilah's meltdown poisons the atmosphere like a toxic waste spill. "You're all protecting terrorists," she screams at Commissioner Rodriguez while horrified families grab their children and back away. "We know you're part of the conspiracy." Her voice cracks like breaking glass as she accuses county officials of treason and communist collaboration while demanding they arrest the property rights extremists immediately for crimes against community safety. Commissioner Rodriguez, a woman who's weathered 20 years of political storms, responds with professional ice that makes Delilah's hysteria look even more deranged. "Ma'am, citizens have constitutional rights. Perhaps psychiatric evaluation might be beneficial." "Their psychiatrist is probably communist too," Delilah shrieks, now completely untethered from reality's gravity well. 6 smartphones capture her complete psychological breakdown in viral-ready high definition while she rants about deep state, property conspiracies, and radical legal warfare until security escorts her away like a psychiatric emergency. Saturday evening delivers divine justice. Federal agents execute search warrants at Kevin's county office, seizing computers, files, and communication records documenting 5 years of systematic corruption. The investigation that started with my camping trip has exposed government fraud affecting dozens of property owners across 3 counties. Kevin gets arrested at his desk Friday, charged with civil rights violations, racketeering, and conspiracy to defraud government. His mugshot hits social media, showing a man who just realized that government employment doesn't provide immunity from federal prison. Sunday morning, Jessica Walsh's documentary finale airs, HOA Dictator's Criminal Empire Exposed. The program includes Delilah's complete farmers market meltdown, audio from her terrorism conspiracy rally, and expert analysis of her systematic fraud network. Federal prosecutors announce RICO indictments with 20-year sentences for civil rights violations. The clipboard princess who tried stealing my lake through paperwork terrorism is about to learn that federal conviction doesn't include HOA privileges. Tuesday evening, the county commissioners' meeting becomes the coliseum of small-town justice. The courthouse meeting room is bursting beyond fire marshals' nightmares with over 400 people, coalition supporters, Delilah's dwindling cult, media vultures from 6 counties, and rubberneckers who smell blood in the water. The air crackles with electric tension thick enough to choke on, mixing sweat, anticipation, and the ozone smell of recording equipment that could power a small broadcasting station. 5 TV crews position cameras like artillery, while Jessica Walsh live tweets from the media gauntlet. Sheriff Martinez stationed 6 deputies around the perimeter, because public corruption trials have a nasty habit of turning into riots when people discover how badly they've been screwed. The gallery divides like a courtroom civil war. Coalition supporters packed shoulder to shoulder on the left, Delilah's remaining 12 disciples huddled on the right like survivors of a political apocalypse. You can literally feel the hostility radiating between sides, like heat from asphalt in August. Commissioner Rodriguez pounds her gavel with the authority of someone who's witnessed every species of municipal insanity. "We're addressing systematic allegations of harassment, tax fraud, and civil rights violations involving HOA leadership and county personnel." Delilah enters like Marie Antoinette walking to the guillotine, flanked by her $500, 0 cents per hour attorney who looks like he'd rather be defending war criminals. Her signature clipboard trembles in hands that once wielded it like Excalibur, now reduced to a security blanket for the terminally delusional. "Fellow citizens," she begins with that synthetic honey voice that's manipulated suburbanites for half a decade, "I stand before you as victim of coordinated persecution by radical extremists seeking to destroy everything we've built together. The gaslighting is so thick you could spread it on toast. These so-called property rights terrorists have weaponized our own government against innocent families who simply wanted to preserve community recreational access that's existed for generations. But then Sarah Blackwood rises like the angel of legal death, armed with evidence thick enough to choke a federal prosecutor. She approaches the podium carrying justice in a briefcase that might as well contain nuclear weapons. "Commissioners, citizens of this county," Sarah's voice cuts through Delilah's bullshit like a laser through tissue paper, "what you've witnessed is criminal fraud described by its mastermind." The evidence presentation unfolds like watching someone's life destroyed in real time. Video footage of Delilah's midnight crime sprees projected on screens larger than life. Audio recordings of her instructing minions to file false complaints. Financial documents showing $127,000 stolen through systematic tax fraud spanning 5 years. This defendant, Sarah declares, pointing at Delilah like she's identifying patient zero of a corruption plague, has robbed every honest taxpayer in this room while hiding behind community service rhetoric. The crowd's reaction builds like thunder rolling across mountains. Gasps becoming murmurs, becoming angry rumbles as people realize how comprehensively they've been violated. But the mic drop moment arrives when Sarah plays Delilah's own words from the community defense rally. Heaven can ensure their applications get buried, their permits delayed, their lives made miserable. We control every department that matters. Delilah's voice fills the courtroom with crystal clarity, confessing to federal crimes while 400 people and 5 TV cameras record every syllable. The silence that follows is so complete you could hear a pin drop in the parking lot. Even her remaining supporters look like they've been bitch-slapped by reality's cold, unforgiving hand. Commissioner Rodriguez delivers judgment with surgical precision. Mrs. Thornwick, based on overwhelming evidence and federal investigation findings, this commission unanimously refers your case for immediate prosecution under RICO statutes. The crowd erupts like a sports stadium as Sheriff Martinez stands with handcuffs gleaming under fluorescent lights. Delilah Thornwick, you're under arrest for conspiracy, fraud, and systematic violation of civil rights. The metallic click of handcuffs echoes through sudden silence like the sound of justice being served ice cold. Her $500 0 per hour attorney whispers desperately while deputies recite Miranda rights that sound like funeral bells for suburban tyranny. "You can't do this to me!" Delilah screams, her composure exploding like a pressurized water main. "I'm a community leader. I have connections." "Ma'am," Sheriff Martinez responds with professional ice. "Your connections are being arrested too. You have the right to remain silent. I strongly recommend using it." The courtroom explodes in thunderous applause as Delilah gets perp-walked past 400 witnesses, her designer clipboard abandoned like evidence of delusions finally meeting reality. People are literally standing on chairs, cheering like their team just won the World Series of Municipal Justice. Commissioner Rodriguez pounds her gavel for order while announcing formation of citizen oversight, preventing future corruption. Let this serve notice. Systematic abuse of government authority will face full prosecution under state and federal law. Outside, Jessica Walsh interviews ecstatic coalition members while Delilah disappears into a patrol car, her suburban dictatorship terminated by the same democratic processes she tried to corrupt. The woman who weaponized police against me for camping on my own land just discovered that justice doesn't require HOA approval. 6 months later, justice tastes sweeter than Margaret's last batch of homemade apple pie. Delilah pled guilty to 17 felony counts, including racketeering, systematic tax fraud, and civil rights violations. Federal judge sentenced her to 12 years in prison, plus $480,000 0 in restitution, every stolen dollar returned with interest that compounds like karma. Kevin got 8 years, plus lifetime ban from government employment. Their suburban crime empire collapsed faster than a meth lab in a lightning storm. Pine Ridge Estates HOA dissolved completely, assets distributed among homeowners who'd been unknowingly funding a criminal enterprise disguised as community service. Property values jumped 23% once the corruption cloud lifted and people realized they could own land without clipboard dictators micromanaging their lives. But the real transformation happened inside my chest, where grief had been eating me alive like acid. Fighting for principle gave pain a purpose that therapy never could. The broken widower who bought this ranch to hide from the world became something Margaret would recognize. A man who stands up instead of backing down. Every morning, I wake up to sounds that would make Margaret's spirit dance. Children's laughter echoing across water where Delilah once plotted federal crimes. The Margaret Calloway Memorial Nature Education Center transforms my grief into something beautiful. Genuine environmental education that teaches kids about wildlife, water ecology, and the Constitution that protects it all. Tuesday through Thursday, I host field trips for elementary schools. The pine-scented air that once carried painful memories now carries excited voices discovering salamanders, identifying bird calls, and learning that property rights protect everyone's slice of the American dream. Last week, shy 7-year-old Marcus Johnson caught his first fish in the exact spot where Delilah used to stage her midnight trespassing parties. The poetic justice makes my coffee taste like liquid satisfaction. Our scholarship fund, built from lawsuit settlements, sends 6 local kids to conservation camps annually. Emma Rodriguez, the commissioner's granddaughter, just won a state science fair project about water pollution prevention. She studied my lake's ecosystem and concluded that protecting private property protects public resources too. Smart kid, smarter than her elders who fell for Delilah's community access bullshit. Here's your practical takeaway, worth its weight in legal fees. Document everything, build coalitions, and never let bureaucrats intimidate you into surrendering constitutional rights. Individual resistance gets steamrolled, but organized citizens with evidence can topple corrupt systems faster than federal prosecutors can say, RICO violation. The Property Rights Defense Coalition expanded statewide, successfully defending 67 properties from similar fraud schemes. We've trained citizens to recognize corruption patterns, lobbied for stronger harassment protections, and helped prosecutors build cases that put 12 corrupt officials behind bars. County government implemented bulletproof reforms after our case exposed systematic vulnerabilities. Independent verification required for all easement claims, annual audits of tax assessments, mandatory ethics training, featuring the Thornwick case as How Not to Destroy Your Life Through Suburban Fascism 101. Commissioner Rodriguez established citizen oversight with real teeth, authority to investigate, subpoena records, and recommend prosecutions. The good old boy network that enabled Delilah's crimes got replaced by transparency requirements that make corruption nearly impossible. Jessica Walsh's investigative series won a Pulitzer nomination, got picked up nationally, and spawned the documentary Clipboard Tyranny that helps communities recognize and fight systematic harassment. Federal prosecutors use our case in training seminars worldwide. But the sweetest victory comes every sunset when I sit beside water that reflects mountains, sky, and the knowledge that evil doesn't win when good people refuse to stay silent. Margaret's dream of peaceful family gatherings finally came true, just with a much bigger family than we ever imagined. The new neighbors who bought Delilah's foreclosed house are everything she pretended to be. Genuinely nice people who wave hello, respect boundaries, and live their own lives without needing to control mine. No clipboards in sight. Margaret's anniversary doesn't tear my heart out anymore. Fighting for something bigger than personal pain transformed grief into purpose, loss into legacy. She always believed ordinary people could do extraordinary things when pushed too far. I keep her picture beside thank you letters from families we've helped protect their property rights. Every note reminds me that standing up to one bully protects countless people you'll never meet. Drop your HOA horror story in the comments. Let's build an army against petty tyranny and help each other fight systematic corruption wherever it tries to take root. Smash that subscribe button for more stories about regular folks defeating rigged systems. Next week, how I turned my neighbor's fence dispute into a $75,000 0 cents payday by exposing the city's eminent domain fraud scheme. The lake still reflects heaven, but now it also reflects justice served ice cold, and community healing served with warmth that would make Margaret proud.